relate this to a couple of real life examples. I met one individual from Bihar, and up to class 9th, he had studied in Hindi medium school. In fact, up to class 8th. In class 9th, he switched over to English medium school because he wanted to take engineering entrance examinations. And believe me or not, he went on to top the IIT joint entrance examination. He held All India rank 1. Right? Now, the thing that he told me is that he would not have been able to do that had he continued in Hindi medium school. How many Indians are there like that, equally or more talented, who do not have access to English language and therefore do not feel privileged? Second story. I often engage with a lot of users about how they use internet. In the metros, while traveling by cabs. And I ask them, do you use internet? The answer that I invariably get is, मैं तो पढ़ा लिखा नहीं हूँ, मैं इंटरनेट कैसे यूज कर सकता हूँ? मैं उनको पूछता हूँ कि आपको अपनी भाषा मालूम है? अपनी भाषा में, हिंदी में, या फिर जो आपकी मातृभाषा है उसमें आप पढ़ सकते हैं, लिख सकते हैं? तो उसका आंसर मेरे को यस मिलता है. तो in our mind, it's a mindset that पढ़ा लिखा is equivalent to English. Go back to this story, please. We want everybody to access education. We want everybody to access internet, but the medium is only English. Exactly similar to the story that I just told. Now, India has gone through two massive revolutions, information-led revolutions. The first one was media and communication, which is a $20 billion industry, contributing about 1% of GDP and reaching about 80% of citizen base. Now you'll be surprised that more than 90% of media and communication, be it print, television or cinema, actually are in local languages. Similarly, telecom, almost 2% contribution to GDP, $33 billion industry, more than 80% coverage. Imagine if any of this were possible, if it would have been restricted only to English language. Media, imagine watching Sholay in English language, not in Hindi. Right? Now, internet is the third revolution that's happening. Projected to be a $30 billion industry. Is it possible that we could achieve that kind of impact if this gets restricted to English language? No. Let's draw parallels from China. Very similar user base, about 100 billion as far as the English is concerned. Yet, 25% of productivity comes from the internet because that is in Chinese language. China decided to have internet in Chinese language right from the beginning. And there are about 5 crore jobs which have been generated because of that, contributing to 7% of GDP. India is expected by 2020 to reach digitally where China is today. And we can get there if we could remove the barrier of language from it. Alright, so I'm not going to read all of this. This is something the government has done over the last 2 years. And you can easily see that this has put India as the largest citizen engagement country, citizen engagement platform in the world. Right? So humongous amount of steps that have been taken in that direction. What does that do? With Digital India, let's take the life of a farmer. The farmer starts the day. Imagine that the farmer starts the day with information about weather so that the farmer can decide about his crop. Now with that information, the farmer goes to the e-NAM portal to check the commodity prices and decide whether he can sell the commodity that day or not. And then if he decides to sell, goes to the mandi and sells the crop to the traders directly without any intermediaries, and then receives payment digitally through the Bhim application. And finally, with that money, wants to buy a sari for his daughter, Rekha, and Rekha is not at home, sends a message to Rekha, when are you back? And knows that when she is back, he is ready to give her a surprise. So this is a life of a farmer, possible, very much like what we do digitally. Whatever we want, everybody can do. Now, to make this happen, there are 9 pillars of Digital India that the government is working on. The first pillar, which is infrastructure, which have got, around infrastructure there are 3 pillars, which essentially is the road, laying the road. And then, on the road, you have rest of the pillars which are contributing to the vehicles that are going to run on the road, right? Information and data. Now, to be able to use all of those, we have the road, we have the vehicles. To reach our destination, we need a medium of communication in which we can engage to know whether we are going in the right direction or not. That becomes language. And unfortunately today, there are only 10%, almost about after 70 years of independence, only about 10% of Indians who can even remotely understand English. If you have to consider fluency of English, that's no more than 4% in India. So, with language also being a very big focus of the government, and they are making that part of the Digital India promise, what happens if this dream is realized? Internet access for everybody, leading to unhindered information access, information flow. That will lead to a lot of innovation, because we can get information from anywhere. We don't have to depend on anybody. That will give us access to capital, which will lead to more entrepreneurship and employment generation. This is a cycle that will gather momentum as Digital India progresses further. Now, I see a dream for our country for 2020, the Digital India dream of linguistic freedom. And I would like all of us to dream the same. What is it that is possible? I would like to see 3 times more Indian language users on the internet than English language users. I would like to see today on internet, Indian language content contribute to less than 0.1%. I would like to see at least 5% being present there by 2020. 50 lakh jobs created because of Digital India, internet. 3 to 4% of contribution to the GDP. There are many others that you can read through, but the most important ones I would like to point out here. No language, no Indian language getting on the red list, on the verge of dying. And finally, death of the word vernacular. Vernacular as a word was coined by British to identify languages that were not English, not their own. Indian languages are our own. These are our own language. They cannot be vernacular to us. So we are Reverie Language Technologies. I am Arvind, co-founder of Reverie, and we are contributing towards Digital India in our capacity. These are some of the projects that we have been very closely working with the government. We are also working with the government. In fact, the mandate which is going out in July to adopt languages in all mobile phones that are sold in India, display support for 22 languages and typing support for at least 3 Indian languages. We have made significant contributions to the recommendations that have gone into it. And like I was mentioning earlier, Bhim as application for localization, we have done that. And today we are happy to see that 23% of usage, USSD usage of Bhim application is actually happening in the language. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time and patience.